First night in Illinois, camera settled, let's eat. Now when you think of the Windy City in regards to food, a few things come to mind. One, deep dish pizza.
Let me tell you something. This is not pizza. This is tomato soup in a bread bowl. This is an above-ground marinara swimming pool for rats. Let me tell you something about your not pizza. I want to know when I get drunk and pass out on my pizza that I'm not going to drown.
Number 2, a Chicago dog. And number 3, a certain mix of popcorn. Tonight, we had our first opportunity to pick a Chicago best for pizza. Now, the internet consistently spit out a few of the same names. Lou Malnati's, George's, Giordano's, and the one we ultimately settled on, Pequod's. To be honest, this wasn't a decision based on anything but convenience. We were still staying at a hotel a stone's throw away from the airport, which was still almost an hour away from downtown Chicago. It was the end of a long day, which meant other restaurants were already closed. So we sat down at the Morton Grove Pequod's Pizzeria. Great cozy atmosphere, fast and kind servers who recommended the pepperoni and sausage pie. This pizza was phenomenal. The crust was caramelized, crunchy, and flavorful. The pepperoni was crispy and juicy with that perfect pepperoni flavor. Lastly, the sausage was homemade, meaty, and rich with a spicy kick. Truly a worthy entry. After the fantastic meal and an exhausting day, we retreated to our Motel 6 in Schiller Park. Other than a questionable black stain on the hotel floor and the fact that the exterior looked like it was being condemned by the city, the friendly staff explained that the hotel was recently being renovated and appreciated that we weren't jumping to conclusions, assuming the motel had fallen into hard times. Welcome to day 2. Today, our goal was simple. Let's do what we think is reasonable in Chicago that aligns with our interest and won't overextend ourselves. We had a lot of road tripping to do, and because we weren't staying in Chicago for more than one day, we really had to cherry pick our experiences. So we boiled it down. Food, Blues Brothers, and a giant bean. Remember how I mentioned deep dish and Chicago-style hot dog? Well, there was another meal I'd never heard about.
Number 48, Illinois. This was tough. The Italian beef sandwich beat out Chicago hot dogs by 2 whole votes, and deep dish pizza by 1 vote. So I guess it's Mr. Beef time, baby. Shout out to Mr. Beef. We love each other, by the way. Big kisses.
So we started our adventure in Chicago with the renowned Mr. Beef, made famous by the Hulu series The Bear. Now, I had never heard of this sandwich. I'd been to Philadelphia to have some of their best cheesesteak, and I couldn't fathom how a soggy roast beef sandwich could compete. I was completely wrong. So Mr. Beef's was amazing! Holy crap! That was the most delicious thing I've ever had. What'd you guys think?
It was so good. It was so good. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend when eat.
Are you still recording?
I sure am. What do you think? What did you think? Oh, you didn't have any of it because you don't eat food! Afterwards, we were on to Millennium Park. Parking is a bitch. I got the app, loaded up money, and mistakenly parked on a sidewalk instead of swallowing the day fee and parking underground. If you're going to be at this park for more than 2 hours, and you're going to be at this park for more than 2 hours, buy the damn day pass. I ended up having to pay almost the day pass equivalent by extending my street parking multiple times. We immediately went to the wrong side of this massive park in downtown Chicago, where Roman was instantly bewitched by a giant climbing wall that visually tempts children from a distance. Even though we'd planned on taking him to a kids' climbing adventure park called Climb Zone later that evening, he insisted on going to this one. But because I'm a very strict and frugal father, I totally paid an exorbitant amount to let him climb for like 30 seconds before he decided he was done. That being said, please let me know if you'd like to adopt a 7-year-old boy who is free of ticks and bedbugs who can live solely off of candy. Afterwards, we were off to Buckingham Fountain. Wait, this doesn't look like it. Roman, what fountain is this?
The Academy Fountain.
Oh my god! Telling me no! Okay, here it is. Buckingham Fountain, one of the largest water fountains in the world at Grants Park. Now, I could bore you with facts, but basically, you might have seen this fountain if you watched the intro to Married with Children. The name has nothing to do with Buckingham Palace, it's just the name of the guy that the fountain was dedicated to. After that fountain, we made our way to Cloudgate, or as it's known, the Bean. Unfortunately, we were rudely interrupted by... We are here at Cloudgate Park,
Millennium Park, and right behind me, or right in front of me, is the orchestra practicing.
Honestly, it was magical to be at such a beautiful park with a heavenly live orchestral background. Our hearts filled with music, we arrived.
So we're here. Finally made it. It's starting to sprinkle. This is Cloudgate. This thing. Here's Lisa.
Hi.
What do you think of the gate?
Oh my god, I kind of super love it. I thought it was just be like, oh, look at the shiny beam, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's Roman not caring about the beam over there. That is super fascinating.
As far as fully reflective bean-shaped monuments go, this was a 10 out of 10. But honestly, once you see it and give it a good 10-minute walk around, it's about as much of a chrome bean you'll ever need to see or experience in your life. Afterwards, it was on to walking downtown to hit some iconic spots. Except...
What exactly is Lisa doing over there? I tried to cross the street earlier, and she looks like she's talking to a monk.
Lisa and Roman had been intercepted by a guy pretending to be a monk, who swindled Lisa into a $10 donation for hopes of eternal peace, and a safe road trip, and a handful of trinkets. Later, Lisa would tell me willingly she let herself get rubed because it was a fun experience. I guess it's a win-win for both parties. Then we were off to Garrett's for Chicago mixed popcorn. Just a lovely mix of cheddar and caramel crisp popcorn. I've always had this combination wherever I go, but eating it at the originator really felt special. Not to mention the quality of the popcorn was truly phenomenal. Up next was Daley Plaza, a definite Blues Brothers stop. Daley Plaza is where the climax of the movie took place, as Jake and Elwood towed 1 million police cars to the county building to pay the orphanage property tax. Now, there's a large Picasso piece outside, and the inside of the county building was colorfully decorated in honor of Pride Month. Afterwards, Lisa brought us to the famous beginning and end signs of the Route 66 trip. Oddly, only a few days after we'd left, Chicago had placed celebratory signage in honor of the 100-year anniversary coming up. So we missed that by just a couple of days. Our parking time drying up, and all the major points hit, we made our way back to the park to let Roman play around the well-built playgrounds in the area. We were off again to hit the final well-known food of Chicagoland, the hot dog. Voted best hot dog in Chicago, we made our way to Super Dog. Now before I continue, I want to share a fact that we didn't know going into Chicago that it was the 3rd worst traffic city in the world. Update, I literally just looked it up. It's now moved up to the 2nd worst traffic in the world, beaten only by London. So going anywhere in downtown was just a brutal slog. That being said, I kept my mantra, we're only here for a day, we're only here for a day, to keep my sanity as we waited an hour to travel 15 miles. Super Dog was a classic car hop in the sense that you park next to a speaker box and you bark your orders in and someone comes out to your car with food. We've eaten at a car hop in the past, and sometimes they give you a window tray or something to help you eat in your car. Super Dog basically just handed us our food and silently wished us the best of luck to eat in our rental without mess. One thing I didn't know about Chicago dogs is their neon green relish. However, it was good. It was fine. Apparently, Chicagoans shoot you in the face if you try to put ketchup on their hot dogs, so I respected the local tradition. Man, do I love ketchup on my hot dogs. I am glad I had it, but I also don't think I'd venture an hour to drive 15 miles for one that I could probably get a similar taste at Portillo's. Speaking of Portillo's, we also grabbed a chocolate cake shake the day before, and it's more delicious than you'd imagine. Who'd have thunk blending a homemade chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream would have a flavor that was somehow greater than both flavors combined? It's really good, but you'll have a bad time if you drink all of it, especially if you have lactose intolerance and a proclivity to high blood sugar. That's a last meal kind of food. Our second to last stop for the day was Climb Zone, an indoor climbing park. Because Roman had been patient for the flight and the drives and the hotels and the walking, it was only fair we found a fun spot at the end of the day where he could do fun kid stuff. Climb Zone is an interesting franchise. They have these vertical panels that are uniquely designed to be scaled. Each panel is some type of themed climbing wall, like a wall of cats or Mount Rushmore, or a giant computer keyboard. The different themes also present different difficulty levels. Along with video games, a roped balance course, and a multi-story kids structure, Climb Zone is a pretty interesting place for people with a normal weight category to climb odd and interesting walls. I think the most fascinating part for me was their hook system. Typically, when we've taken Roman to climbing parks, there's some person there that has to help hook them into the climbing rope. They have the system where it's DIY and yet seems incredibly secure. It just allows you to quickly hook and unhook between walls, yet do it in a way that feels safe and has multiple redundancies. After Roman closed down the Climb Zone, we went to our final meal for the night, White Castle. Or, as they call themselves in the later evening, Night Castle. For those of you who live near one, maybe you're desensitized to it, but Lisa and I love and adore a good White Castle slider. We take the opportunity to eat at one if at all possible, and living on the West Coast, the closest one we have access to is in Las Vegas, Nevada. We sat down with a pack of 10 sliders when we noticed something strange happened.
So it turns out Roman likes White Castle a lot. Watch. Look at the graveyard of the White Castle he's killed. And he's still eyeing this last one right here.
He had just as much White Castle as me.
I know. Let's see if he goes for the last one. Oh, he's getting the last one.
What you don't understand is that our child typically doesn't eat more than fruits, vegetables, and candy. That's the 3 food groups in his life. For him to house 4 sliders in one sitting was both impressive and terrifying. We were both thankful we didn't have one of these near our home in San Diego, otherwise Roman would have found his fast track to obesity. Fed, exhausted, and happy, we returned to our motel and checked off days 1 and 2 in Chicago. Tomorrow, our trip to the Mother Road would truly begin. If you want to know when the latest video drops, you can help us out by clicking the like, subscribe, and of course the notification bell. If you want to directly be part of helping me create these wonderful videos, I'd also love to have you as a member of my Patreon.